Anyway, I got my whole fist in there. Whoa!
What's up, man?
What's up, Bad Wars?
That horse. He's
like
gotta
the
like
whole-
be doing like he's been doing like this. Like what?
Fun fact of the Sweet 16, UConn is the only double-digit favorite.
How much? 10?
10.5.
The last time that it it was this chalky was 2019, where in the round of 32, teams went 16-0. So they went 15-1 this time. In 2019, they went 16-0. And guess who won that year?
What year?
UConn.
2019. Virginia won that year, and
Yeah.
it was their redemption year. So
After they lost the 16, yeah.
so now it's another chalky round of 32. First time since
Purdue
that happened.
lost last year.
Purdue lost last
Dude.
year. Yeah.
All right, Cam's calling his shot. Dude, great. Some other just random stats. We're also in our 5th or 6th consecutive year where the preseason number 1 team did not even make it to the Final Four, I think.
Who was it this year?
This year, preseason number 1 was Kansas.
What?
Yeah. Well, preseason, here, check this out. In 23, so I guess last year, preseason number 1 was UNC, and they didn't even make the tournament.
I remember that.
So, but anyways, we can reminisce all day. I thought it'd be cool to do some recaps. But
Yes.
if you guys wanna jump into it, we only have 8 games, boys. We're narrowing this down, and of the 8 games, our Clemson Tigers are in one of them.
Does anybody have a Final Four that's been eliminated that we picked on the original pod? Not just random brackets, but the original pod? Who?
I do.
St. Mary's.
Yeah.
Oh, you picked St. Mary's for Final Four? I have to check, Nolan. Give me a second here.
I had UNC, Creighton.
You have a chance.
UConn.
Yeah.
Who else? I had Marquette because Camden was hating on me for having 3
Big
East
East.
teams.
Every Big East team that made the tournament.
They got hot hosed this year, dude. I mean, some of their teams should have been in the tournament.
Yeah, look how well. I mean, out of the 3 that made it, they're all in the Sweet 16.
I don't really have an argument for any ACC teams other than Pittsburgh, but I mean, they got beat by Clemson twice, so peace.
I'd have liked to see Pittsburgh make it over Virginia.
Oh, me too.
So the current bracket leading it just means more. So I assume that's Coleman's.
That's cool.
Then the second is my Big 12 is overrated. Then my Final Four chalk, and then Colonel Lingus.
That's Nolan.
Is that Nolan? Homer B-Baller 93.
That's one of mine.
I figured it was because you and me.
That was like my kindergarten Crayola set. That one's pretty chalky.
Yeah. Then mine's gut picks, and then it's not Judge Keller, aka Nolan. Round of 69. That's got to be Nolan. God pocket picks.
That's got to be Coleman. I don't know what that means.
Then we got Abby's bracket. Sure. Her bracket is not doing so hot. I haven't told her. Lamani's Q-Zips, who picked Carolina to win the whole thing. Yeah, that one's
South
not
Carolina.
first.
South
Carolina. And then the Housden Couglers.
Houston.
Is that yours?
Like Camden
Houston.
Adler? Yeah.
Yeah. And then, dude, what is the Chef Faux Dogs bracket? Is that what that's called?
Yeah.
Is that where you picked all the underdogs?
Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah, I was about to say that was a terrible bracket. But I think you made it. You meant for it to be terrible, even though of You didn't pick all the underdogs. You picked BYU and Auburn, who both got beat. But you picked UAB and FAU to win the whole thing, and they got beat in the first round. We got two brackets in our group where we had two champion picks that lost in the first round.
That's pretty good.
So gut picks was the one I told Cam was my like legit bracket. So let me check in my final four. I got my final four in that one was UConn over Baylor. Whoops. And Houston over Tennessee. So I do not have a chance in that bracket.
So Nolan, you've still got all four of your final four picks.
Mm-hmm.
Well done.
Well, let's get into some picks, boys. We're going to start based off of tip-off time, which, believe it or not, starts with our game. The
Really?
six-seeded
Game?
for the first game, yeah. Starts with the six-seeded Clemson Tigers taking on the two-seeded Arizona Wildcats.
It's tough, man.
What are you guys laughing at?
I was laughing at Nolan not wanting to pick against Clemson, but feeling like he should.
All right, so hold on. Let's break a few things down. First off, the ESPN matchup predictor. So, like, the most accurate thing we could potentially follow, right?
79%.
Has Arizona 79.3% chance to win. Clemson only a 20.7% to win. Current line is 7.5. Games being played in LA. Over under 151.5. This one's on CBS, so I'm gonna have to figure out how to watch that bad boy. Open 7.5 with even odds. It's currently at 7.5 minus 105 odds. Moneyline Arizona 315. Clemson is plus 255. Couple of team stats that I wanted to throw at you guys that for some reason are not popping up, so I'm not going to throw them at you. Obviously, we all know who the leading scorer for Clemson is. It's our boy PJ Hall at technically, I guess, the center position versus the crowd favorite, seemingly, Caleb Love, guard for Arizona. Who we got, boys?
Nolan, you want to watch that one downtown, or are we keeping it at your crib?
Probably at my crib. I doubt we'll go downtown for that, bro. I mean, I would love to, honestly, but no, I doubt I can make that. I mean, listen, they got multiple 7-footers that 7 foot 260, so that's outweighing a lot of our guys, aka like Chauncey Wiggins. So I hope not to see any post up of him because he's been in the paint a little bit lately.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be tough down low for us this game, which worries me. So our guards are going to have to be shooting. Caleb Love shooting like 20% the last 8 games, I think, maybe last 5. I saw something, but he's not shooting the ball well, so that gives me a little bit of hope. I'm going Tigers. I mean, we're on a run. Let's keep it going. Let's have some fun and do this. I mean, we already beat a 3 seed, so why can't we beat a 2 now?
All right. Cam?
I like that. I'm having flashbacks from being in Wilmington with you guys and watching Clemson play a really good game. Sheldon Mitchell had that dunk. We thought they were coming back. Who are they playing? Kansas?
Kansas.
Kansas.
Yeah.
I could see it being a close game like that where Clemson covers but just can't get over the hump. I think Nolan's point about the paint play that's where our best player is. Chef is a workhorse, but it's going to be tough. Hopefully Caleb Love stays in that slump. I'm gonna go with the Tigers too, though. I want to see Brad Brownell keep his job.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, look, go piggybacking off what you guys said, Nolan. I mean, they got 4 7-footers and a guy at 6'10". The only way, to me, the only way that Clemson can pull this off is if we get separation. Specifically down low. I think Baylor was a good test for that, though. Honestly, right? I mean, Baylor has a lot more size than us. They were able to get a couple of blocks. I think Chef plays a little bit bigger than he is, and honestly, I think PJ plays a little bit smaller than he is. PJ's a little bit more, finesse at times, especially later in the game. You can see him kind of getting winded. I think if PJ's hitting the 3 ball like he was against Baylor, keeping them honest, right? And then I also think JG3 obviously has got to be on. I mean, we've got to have a consistent guy behind the arc. And like I said, I mean, I think we got to get separation on the big guys. If we don't get separation at all, we'll lose by 20. But I think if we play the way that we played against Oregon, I think we keep it close. Obviously, I'm picking Clemson. I think we've got the hot hand. Caleb Love's still their best player, like, no doubt. They're not going to be able to rely on their size entirely, in my mind. They're still giving up 72 points a game. I mean, if having 4 7-footers
like
was a recipe, yeah.
They got some like really bad losses this year. I mean, it's not totally undoable. So
yeah, and
I think
Chase Hunter's been balling out of his mind.
Dude, Chase Hunter has been. This team goes as Chase Hunter goes, dude. He's 5.
We've said it so many times.
Yep. And if you think about that, Baylor, we pretty much won that game without PJ, more or less. So
yeah,
if Chase Hunter, both of them, yeah, PJ and Chef, yeah.
PJ did not score a basket for 20 minutes against New Mexico. There was a 20-minute stretch during that game. And when he made that basket, it was with 5 minutes left. That's just crazy to me.
Damn.
But that just shows you what happens when your guards are doing what they're supposed to.
True. Yep.
Well, I just want to say.
And Godfrey's filling in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true. Well, honestly, man, I mean, Godfrey being on the boards is big too, but I just want to say this.
A goblin guide,
hello there.
Taking him into the cave. I'm not expecting him to not get dirty, especially up to his ankles. I don't want to see him kissing goblins, having political succubus with goblins. I don't want to see him ingratiating goblins. If you catch him kissing goblins, or if you catch him in bed with a goblin, that's a problem. If he, say, signs on to the TPP, that's in bed with a goblin. Because we're going to have a new scale here. I'm actually going to have it made digitally where it's on a scale of goblins. Is it charging into a goblin's nest, hacking them to pieces? Or is it just going, around the goblins? Is it kissing goblins? Even though you still stab them, you give them a kiss? Or is it catching him in bed with a goblin? And then the final scale is going to marry a goblin.
I think that's the thing. So I like our chances.
Yeah. And the X factor Nolan always talks about.
Sprinkle.
Has some size.
Let's sprinkle a little something on the money line.
Let's sprinkle on the money line.
We'll sprinkle a little something on the money line there. Next game. The Huskies of UConn, #1 seed, hosting the Aztecs of San Diego State. Spread's 10.5. Money line is -630, +450. Open at 9.5 has been bet 10.5. Over under is 135.5. TD Garden, who you got?
Well, it's in Boston. It's basically a home game for UConn. I mean, look, I know it's a repeat of the championship game last year, but San Diego State's not as good as they were last year. I think UConn is better than they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
I have them covering. They, like I said, they're pulling away, and Dan Hurley's got those boys playing some of the best basketball that they could possibly play. Look, before they lost to Creighton, the like percentage chance that they like the odds for them to lose 2 more games all season was like astronomical. Like you could have made money if you bet on them not losing 2 more games. So but then they lost to Creighton and the narrative changed a little bit. But there's no question in my mind they're the best team, like better than Houston. Head to head, I think Houston could beat them, but they're the best team, period. They're covering.
Yeah, I mean, I have UConn in this. San Diego State, they've actually made an impressive run, but I just don't see them winning this. UConn's just got too much going on. They're playing really good as a team, like the most unselfish team you could watch so far. So I got UConn covering the spread by, they're going to win this game by more than 15 easily.
Yeah. They spread the ball out really well. They are definitely the best team. They've had a couple of tough losses this year, but I mean, I would bet whatever you guys have in your accounts, just put it on the UConn spread because they're covering.
Interestingly enough, Arizona has a transfer from San Diego State on their team this year, and he was part of that, San Diego State run last year.
Bringing
Experience.
some experience to the fold.
Kashad Johnson is his name, so I'm going to be watching him during the Clemson game a little bit closer just to see if he's, an X factor. Hopefully he won't be.
Alrighty. Moving on to game numero tres. We've got the Tar Heels of North Carolina, 1 seed, hosting the 4-seeded Crimson Tide of Alabama. This is also West brackets. This is being played in LA. UNC is laying 4.5 right now. Open even at 4.5. It's currently 4.5 at -105. Money line UNC -190 plus 160 for Alabama. 50-50 matchup really here on most of the books, more or less. And ESPN matchup predictor. Who you got?
I like UNC. I mean, I had them in my Final Four, so I'm going to stick by that. I also, I just think Alabama's too shaky. They live and die by the 3, and they're kind of a transition team too. And I just don't think you want to get in that match with UNC and RJ Davis.
Fair.
I mean, I could see him putting up a 40 piece in this game, at least 30.
Yeah. Yeah. The
UNC, I mean, honestly, I could see them covering. I don't think it's going to be that difficult for them.
Yeah, I think Bama has had they've shown that they have a pretty weak defense, right? And we all know how overrated the SEC was this year. I do think Bama is you know what you get out of them, right? They can obviously score a lot, but do they give up a lot of points? And to a really, really hot UNC team right now. I know UNC lost to NC State, but NC State won the championship, and they've obviously shown that they're still on fire. I'm kind of with Nolan here. I mean, I think Alabama can keep it close. Might see them go into OT again. I think they have like 4 or 5 OT games this year, it seems like to me. But UNC definitely top to bottom is a more solid team. Again, I think SEC is just too inconsistent. Alabama's been the best that they've had in the tournament thus far, only behind Tennessee. But I don't see Alabama being able to hang on. I mean, Alabama, just real quick, I know it was against Florida, who did make the tournament and lost in the first round. Back-to-back games against Florida gave up over 100 points. Gave up 88 to Arkansas. Gave up 96 to College of Charleston in the round of 64 and gave up 61, which is not that much, but only scored 72 against the Grand Canyon team who didn't, quite frankly, look like they knew what they were doing. So, I got to go the consistency route here. I'm going UNC minus the points.
Yeah. Well, Grand Canyon finished that game on a 3-17 run, so it was a lot closer, like than the final score suggests. But I
It
don't
looked like a
think.
rec league game at the end. I saw it. It just looked like a pickup match that you would see at your local gym. No lie. It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah, I watched it too. It's because Grand Canyon was just letting that one player shoot anytime he wanted to shoot.
Yeah, there
Max.
was no defense. There was just no hands up. It was weak. I thought
Yeah.
I thought they were going to beat him for a second.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, you guys both mentioned it. Alabama just doesn't play defense. They're like Kentucky, and you saw what happened to Kentucky. They live and die by the three, high variance. You saw what happened to BYU. Alabama's their time's running out. UNC, RJ Davis, and Armando Bacot, and then a third very good part of that team, Hubert Davis, is a hell of a coach. Um, I think North Carolina's lack of depth might catch up with them eventually when you're playing Seth Trimble versus, some of the guys that these other teams have on their bench. But against Alabama, I don't see any way North Carolina loses this game. They probably will cover too.
One more note on this game. If UNC does win, I can go ahead and tell you they don't want to play Arizona or Clemson. So just watch out. Just watch out. They don't want to play Caleb Love, and they sure as hell don't want to play a team that already beat them this year.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, I would love to see Clemson beat Arizona because that means that they would be destined to play two teams that they already beat this year. So they would have the recipe, and dare I say, path to the Final Four. All right. I don't want to get too hyped up there. Let's move on.
Got to win
Last
Thursday.
night, last game of the night on Thursday, rounding out the first day of the Sweet 16. We have got the Illinois Fighting Illini, 3 seed, playing against the 2-seeded Iowa State Cyclones, the only other Big 12 team that is worth a shit this year. So, we got Iowa State minus 2.5 was opening, currently at minus 1.5. Money line is Iowa State minus 125, Illinois plus 105. This is a close one. Honestly, going to be kind of tough to call. What are you guys thinking here?
It's really tough for me because I've been hype on Illinois all year.
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of Damask, great shooter, great distributor. Iowa State though, they play such a stiff defense that you gotta. I don't know. They're gonna have to be hitting on all cylinders if Illinois wants to win. Iowa State also has a little bit of NBA talent on that team, so.
Yep.
I think I'm going to go Iowa State. I do.
Wow.
And that's a low spread, so just you know what, just give me the money line right now.
Okay.
See it being a buzzer beater, overtime, something weird kind of game.
I could see that. Yeah.
Go ahead, Cam.
I was gonna say it's one of the toughest matchups to pick in this Sweet 16, and it'll probably be, in my opinion, the most fun to watch because you've got Illinois, whose offense is incredible, like really good, and if they're firing on all cylinders, they're gonna win. And then you've got Iowa State, whose defense is really good. And if they turn it into like uh like a dogfight, like a ugly, like Rucker Park, like playground game, then I think they're gonna win. Also Iowa State, I don't like their point guard Lipsy. I don't think he's been good in big moments. That could catch up to bite him. But they've got NBA talent, like Nolan said. They've got like that 6'10" player, Machilovic.
Milan.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Milan Machilovic. That dude he's fun to watch, man. He's Drano, and he's like one of those European NBA prospects for sure. So watch him down the stretch. He's a freshman. He's damn good. For Illinois, Terrence Shannon he and Tristan Newton and Jamal Shed and Zach Edey are easily the best players left in the tournament. Terrence Shannon's amazing, and they've got Damask too. The last thing I'll say is that Illinois' path to get here was Morehead State and then Duquesne, and neither one really gave them a tough time. So
Yeah.
we'll see what Brad Underwood has when they played a really scrappy, physical, energized Iowa State team. So I think I'll go Iowa State as well, but it'll be a fun game to watch and a close one.
Yeah, Cam. I mean, I agree with everything you said except the result. I mean, I agree that Iowa State has played tougher competition. I mean, for them to beat Houston the way that they did to win the Big 12 and earn a 2 seed when they were probably coming in a 3 or 4 seed beforehand, arguably could have got a 1 seed over over North Carolina, especially after North Carolina got beat. But man, I'm with you, and I'm leaning on Terrence Shannon. I mean, the dude. First off, he's a baller, right?
Mm.
And I know he's been playing lesser competition in these last 2 games, but I also think it's allowed him, to kind of, in some ways rest up a little bit, right? They handled both of those teams, and Terrence Shannon still played just around that 33 to 35-minute mark, and they handled Duquesne by 20. They handled Morehead State by 20. So I think like they're keeping him in. They're keeping him fresh legs. Nolan's point earlier about Clemson, like they're getting some rest. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be the best game of the night. I agree with you, especially on paper. But man, I mean, Terrence Shannon he's a baller, and he against lesser competition and still in the tournament he is balled out. Dude shot 56% against Morehead State, shot 71% against Duquesne, scoring 30 and 26 respectively. If he has that kind of game, I think
He's
Illinois
locked
can
in.
pull off the upset. I think he can pull off the upset. I'm with you guys though. Defense wins championships. I know that. I still think Iowa State is the third best team left in this whole thing. I would go UConn, Houston, Iowa State, but I think Illinois with the right mixture, if you will, I think they can come up with the recipe to upset the Cyclones. I'll go against the grain here because I know we're not gonna obviously bet on this game. I'm going the Illinois Fighting Illini high.
Yeah. Incredible numbers from Terrence Shannon. And the thing is, too,
yeah.
the past couple games, he's been hustling. I've seen him on the floor a lot. And when your best player is doing that, the team follows.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and the other thing, too, I mean, I agree with you 100% about the lesser competition, but, they did what they were supposed to do. They beat them by 20. I mean, in college basketball and especially in the tournament, 20-point wins that's the real deal, So they've been taking care of business. All right.
Every day.
Quick break.
They hadn't had to work any overtime, so.
Quick break. I gotta take a leak, and then we'll come back and we'll do the rest of the Sweet 16.
Okay.
Look, everyone pees. That couldn't be more normal. But some people have a problem.
All right, dudes. We're back. Sorry.
Saw.
Sorry. All right. Friday night. Getting into it. First tip of the night. 7:09 p.m. The NC State Wolfpack 11 seed versus the 2 seed Marquette Golden Eagles. Current spread Marquette 6.5. That's what it opened at. That's what it's at now. Minus 275 on the money line, plus 225 for NC State on this one. ESPN matchup predictor is giving Marquette a 77% chance to win this game. So NC State has a better chance to beat, as an 11 seed, has a better chance to beat Marquette than
Than we
Clemson
do.
does to beat Arizona. Again, I think that's the size thing.
It means nothing.
And I'm going to kick this one off. Give me the Golden Eagles. I mean, look, NC State's had a great run, but Jimmy V's not their coach. It's not their year. Burns is a great player. Horn's obviously been on fire. Good for them. Feel good story for sure. Great job winning the ACC. It's what I want to see Brad do. Right? If I'm being honest, like the three of us.
We do need an ACC championship, but I think we got lucky that we lost to BC. I think that all that rest did save us.
I think you're right, dude.
I agree. So all that to
Thank
say,
God
I
it
think,
didn't matter so we won.
I say all that to say I'm with you. I mean, I think NC State's eventually their legs are going to give out. Played a lot of basketball, a lot of good basketball, but I got to go Marquette here. 6.5 on the spreads, probably a little big, but I could also see Marquette pulling away. Marquette hasn't looked great in this tournament. I will say that. Also, NC State had to go to overtime to beat Oakland. Neither of these teams are overly impressive to me, but if I had to pick right now, I would take Marquette money line.
I'm also going Marquette. Double DJ has made a nice run, but I just like Kirby Smart more than Kevin Keats, so I'm going Marquette. Plain and simple. Kolek's back. He's getting back into the groove of things, so
Yep.
could be, Wolfpack's time to go.
Yeah, I hear you guys. I'm actually going to take NC State, and I'll tell you why. Number
Please
one,
do.
they're the only Cinderella left, so I want them to win. So I'm biased. Number two, I don't think Marquette's been the same since Tyler Kolek went out for injury. He is back now, and it looks like he's pretty healthy, but I've seen him take plays off, and they've looked a little like not the same team that, hell, even the team that got smacked by UConn, they were at full health then. And I think their time is coming to lose, and they only have one big man who plays worth a damn, and DJ Burns is better than him. DJ Horn hasn't really gone off yet, and I could see him doing that. The only thing I'm concerned about is Cam Jones on Marquette because he's a baller, but I like NC State on the upset.
They do match up with them pretty well. I mean, nobody knows what to do with Burns anyway, but you got Middlebrooks rotating in. Diarra's got length, and he's rebounding really, really well right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they got all the tools to beat them. I
think Kolek being back makes the difference for me. I mean, if he wasn't back, or even if he was halfway, and I agree with him about taking plays off, but I think he can neutralize, especially on offense. I think he can neutralize a lot of what NC State brings to the table. And again, Cam, to your point, Horn hasn't gone off, which means if he doesn't go off again for whatever reason, just has an average game, 12, 15, 18 points for him. I mean, 18 is his average, but you get my point. Like, I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be a close game. I wouldn't take the points. I think 6.5 is too many points. So I don't know. I think it might be. I think it might be, especially for an 11-2. I think it might be a pretty entertaining matchup.
My reasoning is I really do think Shaka Smart's going to outcoach Kevin Keats.
Oh,
I mean,
you said Kirby Smart. I thought Kirby Smart was.
That's my bad.
It's Shaka's brother. So
Not.
they are related. Now this is a Shaka. That's a shocker.
Oh, I thought this was a Shaka.
Now this is a Shaka. That's a shocker.
No, this is hang loose, dude.
But in Hawaii, they say it's called a Shaka.
Oh, I'm a Howley, dude.
You are a Howley. What did Connor just send us?
A picture of Kirby Smart.
Really?
You guys tell me what you think between
Side
those
note.
two.
Side note, we're gonna have a little. This is a little intro to our football show, but you know, Etienne's brother got called for going 180.
Too, and we thought ETN was fast.
I mean, that's just crazy,
that.
dude.
Is
Y'all
he going
see
to Clemson or something, Nolan?
No, he's playing for
No.
Georgia next year.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
transferred to Georgia from Florida.
that wasn't very Kirby Smart.
All right.
They're saying he might get kicked off the team for it.
Damn, that would be the ET end of his career.
Which image do you guys like best?
Let me see. I'm on my phone zooming, so let's see. Oh god, definitely the. I don't know. They're all pretty good.
Dude, that third one is hilarious to me.
The third one's the least funny. The one with his AirPods.
The fourth, yeah, but look how big his eyes are when you like zoom into the picture.
That's like the most
Looks like
normal.
he looks like he just railed a line. But that last one looks like Kirby Smart doing a Frank Caliendo impression of Kirby Smart.
Dude, the second one, it looks like he's going, "Oh, I need another order of fries up here." Like at the
All right,
drive-thru.
Dude, this might be the best one.
I found one.
Oh.
I got one. Yeah, I get it.
No. I'm about to send you the best one on. Look at that last one.
With the visor on?
No,
Look-
dude, his staff photo.
Oh. That's a good one. Just up here looking like Kirby dumb.
I did. This is great.
Oh my god.
He's doing the jump man, and
It looks like it's like Wizard of like Dorothy from Wizard of Oz or something.
There's no place like home.
dude, me just saying Kirby Smart has derailed this show.
It completely derailed this show.
Next game on the slate, we've got the number 1 seeded Purdue Boilermakers and the number 5 seeded Gonzaga Bulldogs. Purdue opened at -4.5. It is currently at 5.5. -225 on the money line for Purdue. Gonzaga is +185. Who you got?
Purdue.
Game's also played in Detroit, for what it's worth, which is Michigan's like only like a state over from Indiana, right? State and a half.
Yeah, it's close. It's way closer.
And then
than
Gonzaga's
that's
Washington State. Spokane.
Spokane.
Purdue. I
Yep.
mean, Gonzaga definitely played Kansas really well. That was probably Gonzaga's best game of the year at the right time. They're peaking for sure, but Zach Edey's a baller, and he's been there for feels like 7 years now. If you're not a Purdue fan, um, but look, I mean, I've heard a lot of people say it. Cam and I were chatting about it earlier. Like, I mean, you can't really trust Purdue because they're Purdue. But man, I got to be honest. This feels like their best chance to win it. I mean, Zach Edey's shooting 62% from the field because all he ever does is just reach his hand up and just drop it in the basket. Um, but man, I mean, if Purdue's going to do it, like now's the time, right? I gotta take Purdue here and hope they. I don't like it being bet to 5.5, so I don't know that I would take the points. I might just take the money line, or might buy it back down to 4.5 for it open. But I don't know. At some point, you got to believe in Purdue, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they drop this.
Man, this is a toughie. I feel like Gonzaga's on a heater right now, even though they didn't win their conference tournament. I mean, I still feel like they're playing out of their minds. This is the battle of the two coaches who get high seeds and don't know what to do with it. So this will be my least favorite to watch. I might not even tune into this one to see what happens. But I'm gonna go Purdue. I just think they're better. Zach Edey, he's gonna be big, be tall. I mean, I think Gonzaga can maybe slow him down, but not enough.
Yeah. The only thing I'll say about it is that um I don't know if you guys heard what Bill Self said in his post game press conference after Kansas got demolished by Gonzaga, but he said something along the lines of I'm just glad the season's over. I can look toward next season. Like his players gave up, dude. And I think Gonzaga winning by that much against a blue blood like that has inflated the narrative around Gonzaga, and Purdue has a little chip on their shoulder because we're talking about UConn, we're talking about Houston, we're talking about how Matt Painter loses. And Zach Edey's who knows how he'll fare in the pros, but he is a cheat code in college. So I think it's Purdue. I think they cover.
You think Purdue covers pretty easily?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Watch out for Graham Ike. I mean, he's going to be up for the challenge also. So this is going to be – I think it's going to be a close game. I'm kind of like Connor. I wouldn't bet on this per se, but I also would go money line on either team if I was going to do it.
You're per se, dude.
You're per se, dude.
Watch out for Joe Few in this game, though.
Joe Few.
Yeah.
You mean Mark Few?
No, Joe Few, Mark Few's son.
Is he on the team?
Uh-huh.
Oh, shit.
Hadn't played a lick all year.
Yeah.
But he's
all right.
Next up, the bench.
Next up on the slate, we've got a zesty Duke team, the 4th-seeded Blue Devils, taking on the 1-seeded Houston Cougars. Houston opened at 3.5 minus 120 odds. Currently at 4.5 even odds, minus 190 on the money line. Duke is plus 160. What do you guys think? I mean, Houston record would show, and eye test would show one of the best teams in the country, have been all year long. One of their losses came in the Big 12 championship to the 2 seed in the tournament, Iowa State. Duke has obviously had some questionable losses as well. I don't know what to make of this. I mean, I think on paper Houston wins, but Duke's been impressive. I mean, Vermont was nothing, nobody impressive, but they smacked JMU, and JMU has been, I've told you guys, in my opinion, the best in that conference all year. So who you got?
Houston Cougars.
Covering?
Yeah, to be honest, I think they do cover. I just think Duke's had a cakewalk so far. They were really up for JMU They knew what kind of opponent it would be, so they just beat them down in the first half, and that continued. So, I mean, they did a really good job of doing that because JMU's been hot all year. But I like Houston's defense. Jared McCain, if they could shut him down, then that's pretty. I mean, all they'd have to do is, Filipowski can get his, but if you can stop Jared McCain from scoring so many threes and smiling about it afterwards, then you'll win this game with ease, I think. I mean, Tyrese Proctor, he can be a good shooter at times from three, but he also misses a lot. I don't know his percentage right off the top of my head. Jeremy Roach, I think they get bottled up by Houston. And Houston just had like a really emotional win in overtime. So they survived that one scare, and now they're on to the next game. So I think they're going to come out and do it big.
I like
Yeah,
that
I
take.
think
Go
I
ahead.
think you got to go. Sorry, I think you got to go Houston here. I mean, I agree, Nolan, especially that end point right there, emotional game against A&M, pulling out in overtime. I think between losing to Iowa State, they bounced back from that. They smacked Longwood by 40, which granted it was Longwood, but still did what they were supposed to do, right? Come back, lulled to sleep a little bit, and go to OT against A&M. Cam and I, and Cam said this earlier, A&M was the toughest matchup for sure with any of the one seeds. Took them to OT. A&M gave them all they could, but I think Kelvin Sampson, I think he gets these guys ready. They've had, again, close call, big win, just had a close call. They know, what's on the line. They're a much more physical team than Duke. Duke is definitely finesse. Filipowski is Duke's best player, no doubt. But I don't think he matches up that well, quite honestly, down low with Houston. Houston, in my opinion, has the best defense in the country. Their offense has kind of lagged a little bit at times, but I still think Houston is in my opinion, the second best team in the tournament behind UConn. So I got Houston with the points here. And as much as I like obviously pulling for the ACC, can't stand Duke. Hope they lose by 40.
Well,
agreed.
You guys might get a chance to see that wish come true because this one is going to get ugly. I'm not going to sugarcoat it with the finesse word. Duke is soft. They're one of the softest teams in this tournament, in my opinion, and they haven't seen a defense like Houston's. That's hardly even an opinion that Houston has the best defense. It's just you look at the stat lines, and it's just true. They have one of the best defenses in ages. And Jeremy Roach, he's a veteran, but he's a small guard. And when Javier Francis comes out and hedges and blitzes on the pick and rolls, Jeremy Roach can't see over the top like that.
They're bottling him up. They're
bottling him up. And yeah, I think it's going to get ugly. Not only that, but so Texas A&M was an emotional game. It was a tough matchup. Texas A&M is a physical team. Duke is not. I
will say one thing really quick. The thing that worries me is Houston's guys. They were all fouling out so badly. Like if this comes down to Duke getting a bunch of calls, and which has happened in the past, it could be bad. But Eldon, he had 1 point. He's a big baller.
This should relax him a little bit more.
Past, present, and future. If it comes down to the calls, you can go ahead and give this one to the Blue Devils because they're the Michael Jordan of calls.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say something about that actually. So Houston, first of all, it went into overtime, so foul trouble is always going to be an issue there. And secondly, Houston they're not deep. They don't have a deep bench, especially with Tugler out for the year. They had 4 players foul out That hasn't happened in any game in the NCAA tournament since 1989, and they still found a way to win. All right. So shout out to Elvin.
I have favorite places to eat, but only one place can be the official spot of the Ryan Elvin fan club.
Watch out,
Elvin.
Elvin all day.
Watch out for who? Elvin?
Elvin. Yeah.
Now, who was that team in 1989? If any of our listeners knows, please put it in the comments below. We would love to know, Who was that team, Camden? Do you know?
I don't know. I was hoping one of our listeners would know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all I'm going to say, and we've already all said it. Excuse me. Houston has the number 1 ranked scoring defense in the country. And that's it.
Just gave up 95 points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. They got the thing about Houston, I think, that stands out to me is they got smacked by Iowa State. And they got smacked because their offense didn't show up. Their defense still only allowed, 60-something points? And their offense didn't show up. So if you told anybody, like, hey, you're going to lose by 30, but the other team's going to score 60, you're going to be like, no, there's no way, right? I think it was an anomaly. Like I said, I think Coach Sampson gets them ready. I'm also looking at this. I just pulled this up. Duke is 30. Duke is what? Sorry?
That's adversity, and they're making it through adversity.
Yeah. So I just wanted to pull this up just for reference. So Duke is 41st in the country in scoring offense at 79.8 points a game. And then obviously Houston's first in defense. So I don't think that's a big enough discrepancy, right? Like Alabama's number 1 in the country in scoring offense at 90 points a game. That would be a big undertaking, I think, for Houston and their style of play. Often, like we talk about, like with Virginia. Obviously, Virginia couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat this year. But yeah, I'm with Cam. I mean, I just think Houston's a more physical team, and the only way Duke wins this game is if they shoot 50% from 3.
That's still
the way I see it.
Or if they shoot 40 free throws like Texas A&M.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Duke,
40.
It depends on which. Yeah,
I believe it was something close to that.
It was. It depends on It depends what
they shot 45 free throws. Houston shot 30.
That's so many fouls. See, it really depends what conference referees are calling this game.
It does.
It's got to be some that allow that physical style of play.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's. I've seen that work against Duke before, like last year with Tennessee. They just got bullied by Tennessee, lost by 10 or 15. So hopefully we'll see that again, because I really don't want to see Duke in this thing.
No.
We've got the number 2 Tennessee Volunteers hosting the number 3 Creighton Blue Jays. Tennessee opened at 2.5 even odds, currently at 2.5 minus 120. So it's been bet, but not quite enough to move the spread, just enough to move the odds. Minus 155 Tennessee money line, plus 135 Creighton money line. Over under is 144.5. Being played in Detroit. This one's hot and ready at the Little Caesars Arena. Who do you got?
I'll start it off. I think the SEC gets knocked out of the tournament here. Bama's going down for sure. And I think Tennessee goes down here. The reason being just one thing, and that's, well, two things. One is Kalkbrenner's defense. And two is Creighton's defense in general. They play drop coverage on pick and rolls, and besides connect, I don't think that you really have anyone who's going to consistently burn you. Broom isn't in, or not Broom. I'm sorry. I don't. Bruce Pearl. I don't trust him.
Well, Bruce Pearl's
Rick Barnes.
Rick Barnes. I was going to say Bruce Pearl's still with Auburn, unless that changed.
My bad.
Insert picture of Bruce Pearl in Tennessee. That shouldn't be too hard.
I'm going Creighton because of drop coverage on pick and rolls and Kalkbrenner.
I didn't even know Creighton had a football team. What kind of drop coverage are they doing?
Like on pick and rolls where they, instead of hedging, they literally just drop the center or big man back and like dare you to shoot.
Just shoot, yeah. I mean, don't get it twisted. Creighton had to go into double overtime to outlast Oregon. So, I mean, this could be Tennessee's year. I've been hating on Rick Barnes. Don't trust him. But I'm going with Creighton. I think they're a more rounded team. I don't like the idea of Dalton Connect having to go off every game. You know, if he has a bad night, what's Tennessee going to do?
Man, you guys both make compelling arguments. I don't I don't ever trust one team that relies too heavily on one guy. I think Tennessee relies a little bit too much on Connect. They barely got past Texas. I obviously heard Nolan. What the fuck is this? I muted this. Oh,
Yeah, will you mute real quick?
So I know I hear Nolan 2 overtimes to beat Oregon for Creighton, but I don't know. I like Creighton in this spot. Tennessee to me. Sorry, Kim. A little bit like the Big 12. I mean, I think the teams beat up on each other in the SEC. That doesn't necessarily make the top teams better. We've seen Tennessee lose some pretty big, discrepancies. I don't know. I like Creighton in that spot. I don't know that I would actually put money on it. But I'm kind of with Cam here. I think between Alabama and Tennessee, I think SEC might be out of it. Come Elite Eight time.
Yeah, this is one that I'm not confident in. Because like Oregon only has Kusnard, and he balled out and almost beat Creighton. Tennessee only has Connect. Same thing could happen. I'm not confident in it, but I do like Creighton better. Creighton doesn't foul. They're just good. Their defense is incredibly underrated. Kalkbrenner's a 3-time defensive player of the year in the Big East. Like, look out for Creighton. Nolan, isn't that a Final Four pick a year? I like that.
Yeah, I actually like Trey Alexander. Great point guard. It's going to be a good matchup with Dalton Connect. He might be playing a little bit of defense on him too. They're practically the same height, I believe, right around the 6'5", 6'6" area.
The one thing I'd like to.
It's gonna be a good matchup.
The one thing I'd like to say too.
Yeah, he's my bad. Alexander's the only NBA prospect on that Creighton team. He's a good slasher. Yeah, go ahead, Connor.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I don't think in my opinion, it really can be overlooked how important. And this is one of our biggest gripes from last year, right? Clemson getting left out of the tournament. How important conference play is. And for me, like when you're Creighton and you have to play UConn twice a year, like that matters. These are the times of the years where it matters when you play a UConn. Marquette, who's also obviously in the Sweet 16. I know that Xavier, Georgetown, Butler, all the Big East teams that we know. These are the things that matter, I think, down the stretch, and I think that's what we saw, with the SEC, right? South Carolina getting beat, Auburn getting beat by Yale, 13 beating a 4. So I just, to me, there's got to be, Oregon. Like to your point, what's the dude for Oregon? Obviously, balled out 2 games in a row. By the way, they wouldn't have beat South Carolina if that dude didn't drop like 40 or whatever.
40.
He did
Yeah.
that twice. The first player since like when I mean, dude, what was it like? It's been like 20 years, I think. Like 2002 since like some dude dropped back-to-back 40 games or sorry, 240-point games in a tournament in the NCAA. It wasn't even back-to-back. So take Superman away from that. I don't think Oregon takes them to 2 overtimes. And I don't know. I mean, we all have obviously proven ourselves to be pretty big believers in conference play. I think I think that the Big East prepares you as well as anybody, and I agree with Cam. I mean, the ACC's had a down year. Definitely don't think that their ceiling is as high as the Big 12. But like I said to you guys in text, like a couple of days ago or whatever, like the ACC has still got 4 and 5 stars, right? Big East is full of them. Big 12 is full of them. These guys playing each other, and I know the SEC's got them too, but I don't know, man. I think the SEC's been overrated. I picked Florida to lose in the first round, South Carolina to lose in the first round, and I got to lean on the instinct. And I think Big East is better than SEC. So give me Creighton.
Give me Creighton, baby. Yeah.
Also,
All 3 Big East teams that have made it to the Sweet 16. It makes you wonder if they really should have, if the committee regrets not letting like a talented St. John's in or a bubble Providence in.
well, I mean, even Creighton, right? UConn has lost 3 games all season. One of them was to Kansas, who's out of the tournament. One of them is to Seton Hall, who didn't make the tournament. They're in the NIT. And one of them is to Creighton. So I just, like I said, I think the ceiling is there. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm with Cam here. I think the SEC a little too inflated. I think they lose both of their chances after this weekend, or after the end of this week.
Yep.
Do we want to end this by doing Final Four predictions?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let me pull up the bracket right quick just so that I can get a little nice visual. Pull up my Big 12 is overrated bracket here. All right, Final Four. Coming out of the East, I've got the UConn Huskies. Coming out of the West, I have the Arizona Wildcats. Coming out of the South, I have the Houston Cougars. And coming out of the Midwest, I have the Purdue Boilermakers. I hate it. I'm sorry, guys. I chalked 3 out of 4, and the 4th one was a 2 seed, which I currently have picked beating the 1 seed. But I believe that UConn, Houston, and Purdue are the 3 best teams, and I think that North Carolina is a tad bit overwhelmed, overmatched when it comes to Arizona. I think those 4 7-footers are going to beat us, unfortunately, and I think they're going to beat Carolina. I will say this, though, caveat to end it. If Clemson somehow pulls out a win against Arizona, they're going to the Final Four. They beat Alabama or UNC. They will, if they beat Arizona, they will beat the next team, and Clemson will make its first ever trip to the Final Four.
Let's go.
Nolan, who you got?
Well, on our original podcast for the round of 64, I had Marquette, Creighton, UConn, and Clemson / UNC. So I'm just going to stick with that because right now it's sounding great and looking great. I don't love the Marquette pick. I think Creighton could get hot and make a run. I mean, they, like I said,
I think they could.
They survived a double overtime, ended up winning by like 12 or 13, I believe. So,
Yeah,
you know,
13. Yeah, and
sometimes
Purdue's vulnerable.
that just, boom, takes you off.
Yeah. All right, Cam, round us out.
UConn, Houston in the championship, with Houston winning. And the other two in the Final Four are Creighton beating Purdue to get there, and Clemson.
Let's go, dude.
Let's go.
Go Tigers. All right, I got a quick question. If
quick
Clemson makes
answer.
it to the Final Four, April the 6th, are we flying into Phoenix?
I mean, I want to try to.
Definitely.
Cam, can Dan get us some hookups on some flights into Sky Harbor? I mean, what are we talking here?
Screw Arizona, go Tigers, boom.
Quick here. Bradley, why not? Missed it. Clock ticks. And it is going to be the Clemson Tigers out of the ACC headed to the Elite Eight. What a finish. Clemson advances to their second Elite Eight in program history.